Hello everyone, welcome to another unimaginatively named board game playthrough with me, Evil Dr. Ganymede. Today I am going to be doing a playthrough of Picket Duty by Legion Wargames. This is a game about being a US destroyer off the coast of Okinawa in the latter part of World War II and surviving waves of kamikaze plane attacks. Basically, you win the game by just surviving, and you lose the game by sinking. So it's pretty straightforward. This is a narrative style solo game, so that means there's not an awful lot of decisions to be made in this. It's just rolling dice on a table and generating a narrative of things that happen. So it's very low decision space. We'll basically just play through a scenario and see how this goes. And again, the point of these is basically just show you what the game's like, sort of things that happen in the game. We'll just get stuck in and get going with it. So just to read the introduction here. The US Navy first faced kamikaze attacks in October 1944 near the Philippines. By the time of the invasion of Okinawa in April 1945, the US Navy devised a plan to help ward off the expected kamikaze attacks during the battle for the island. In order to provide an early warning system for impending kamikaze attacks, the US Navy established 16 radar picket stations around the island. Destroyers manning these stations, in most cases, had a fighter direction team to coordinate and call fighters to a station to combat incoming kamikazes. Despite these efforts, the kamikazes still managed to get through and inflict horrific damage to US ships. The entire air-sea battle off Okinawa lasted until August 1945. At least 21 ships were sunk, 8 of them Fletcher-class destroyers, and 194 ships suffered damage ranging from minor to severe. Crew casualty figures range from 9,700 to 12,000 killed and wounded. Picket Duty is a solitaire game where you, as a captain of a Fletcher-class destroyer, must protect the fleet and fend off kamikaze attacks while performing picket duty off Okinawa. The game covers the time period from late March 1945 to late June 1945. To win, you must survive. Needless to say, your task will not be easy. So let's just go over what we've got in front of us here. So this is a this is a tabletop simulator mod. This is one that I've made based on a previous one that existed by Wallace123, I think his name was. I've basically just taken his mod and just tidied it up a bit. Changed a few things. The original mod had a lot of the tokens being cards for some reason. I'm not sure why. So I just changed them back to tokens, added a whole bunch of snap points to the board, and did a bit more tidying up. Added a sideboard, added a few charts and things. These charts on the right are not actually available in my version of the mod. I've just made them for this just to make it a little bit easier to show you what's going on. But my mod is basically the table, everything on it, and this thing on the left, and that's it. Basically just designed it to be a bit more usable, user-friendly. Made a few corrections on the board as well. Also discovered a few interesting things. So this secondary compartments chart, which I'll explain later on, the original one has a couple of misprints on it. First, the windlass room, which I think is where the anchor is stored or something like that. But the windlass room is spelt windless room on the actual sheet, and this, hilariously, is called a trune, Trune, on the original sheet, and that puzzled me greatly because I was looking things up and going like, there's no trune, what is this? Is it some kind of naval slang or something? But no, apparently it is just a typo, and it should actually be a trunk, And since there's a trunk up here already, I've just called this one trunk 1 and I've called this one trunk 2. But yeah, the troon is no more. Maybe it was some kind of US secret weapon or something, but no. There's a few other things on here that are just sort of generally interesting, like they have an ice machine. This projector actually is, I think, from what the cross sections and things and diagrams of the ships that I've seen, I think it's something to do with, like, down here there's a little thing protruding from the underside of the ship that's basically the sonar emitter. And I'm not sure if all these Fletcher class destroyers actually had that or not, but some of them apparently did. And there's a sound room where I guess it's like they process that or something. The projector is just a room that's got all the hardware in. I guess it's the actual sound projector itself for the sonar. So that's what this is. I was wondering if it was like a depth charge projector or something, but then it's like, why would that be below the waterline? Because that would be on the deck if it was lobbing depth charges. But yeah, apparently this should be a sound projector. There's a lot of neat little things on here, but I'll explain that in a sec. So what we have is this is basically the board. In the actual game, it's a paper map, so you'll have to get it flat or put plexiglass over it or whatever you wish to do. But this is the board essentially. It's split into two, and we have a map of the ship, and these hexes around it are the plane, where the planes that are going to be coming in. It's showing where they're coming from. So it's not 0 degrees at the front, 180 degrees at the back, and then it just goes around clockwise for to show the angles that they're coming in at, and they can come in high, medium, or low. On the ship are some counters that represent the guns. So we've got 5-inch guns here, which are shown. That's what they look like. They're the big cannons, basically. There are 5 40mm gun tubs. So that's what these look like. Much smaller guns. But there's 2 at the front, 2 in the middle, 1 in the back. And there are 20mm guns as well, which are these little things. And there are 7 of those, and they are in the midships and the aft, and there aren't any in the front. And historically speaking, apparently the 40mm guns were the sweet spot. They were pretty effective. The 20mm weren't, apparently. And the 5 inches were, but they were just, they're big and harder to aim. So yeah, the 40mm were the ones they liked the most, really, in terms of being able to shoot planes down. Up in the top half, we have all the things that you track, basically. So up here we've got where the ship is assigned, which is determined by the scenario, or randomly, depending on what you're doing. We've got time of day and weather. So a full turn in this is considered as the morning plus midday plus night. That's basically a whole day. A phase is just morning, midday, or night only. We have weather effects, and initially the weather is going to be clear, but it could get worse later on. We have surface fire availability, so there's nearby ships that are helping shoot things down, maybe. And then you have these things that track the air fire support, the available planes that are coming in from land or carriers, ship's morale, the land radar activation level, which helps detect the attacks, the ship's radar, how good or bad that is, depending on whether the radar's being destroyed or not. I have a whole bunch of tracks up here for fuel supply, ammo, hull integrity, maneuvering, and obviously if they get down to 0, then bad things will happen. Gun directors, which are primitive computers that helped the guns track targets and so on, do calculations. Don't know much about those, but they sound interesting. Got your damage control crew, so we have 14 men in crew 1, we've got 10 men in crew 2, we've got 13 men in crew 3, and we've got the chiefs. The secondary compartment repair area here, so this is where, you know, if one of those secondary compartments here that were on this table gets hit, then we can send people off down to them to get them fixed. We got list and trim. Now, this is an interesting thing because as the ship gets damaged, it can get flooded, and as it gets flooded, that can obviously change the buoyancy of the ship. And it can list from port starboard, or it can trim from along the bow and stern axis. So it's basically left, right, up, down. But that actually can affect the guns, where they can fire, because if the ship's tilted to the left, obviously, then, you know, if it's tilted in this direction, then these guns on the right are going to be, you know, at their lowest, they're not going to be pointing at the horizon, they're going to be pointing whatever 10, 20, 30 degrees up in the air, and they won't be able to hit things that are below that because they can't move that far. So, you know, there's going to make some interesting effects there if that happens. And then down at the bottom here, we've got the repair section. So we've got all the important bits of the ship here have their own kind of stat boxes, and most of these can take 4 hits before being destroyed, but I think all of them actually, except for the radars here and the bridge and the CIC and the radio. Yeah, as we get hit, these will have hit counters in them. They'll have fires and damage and so on, and that will not be good for us. There are deck fires as well, so whenever a plane actually hits the ship, it will start a fire, and the deck fires have a possibility of raging out of control, which is unlikely, but possible. And if that happens, the ship is lost, so that's not a good thing. So we have to keep track of that. Up here we've got just a Japanese waves, just to keep track of the waves of planes coming in. And we got a hit table here that will tell us what to do if planes get through, basically. And then up here we've got various counters. We've got the list and trim counters here. We've got a plane hit counters. We've got the ship damage counters. We've got the ship hit counters and deck fires, and we've got gunnery aces, which actually don't come with the game. It's just an optional rule to that if a gun shoots down 5 planes, then they become an ace, basically. They just get a bonus to shooting people down later on. But I just borrowed a counter from my wing leader mod here and modified it here. Over on the left here, we've got the secondary hits chart, which I just showed you. So when these get hit, these aren't as important as all the stuff on the board. When they get hit, they could decrease morale, because obviously if the ship's toilet gets hit, or the fruit and veg gets hit, then people are going to be a little bit upset by that. So gun repairs here this is an optional rule that we'll throw in here as well. So this is just more little damage charts, because the guns can get hit as well, and if they're hit, they can get taken out. And then these are just extra counters for air fire support and surface fire support and spray fire, which will happen when we get some special attacks. And then the planes themselves are in these bags. We've got 128 counters in this one, and we've got 10 in this. So these are the specials, and they are 10 different counters, each with a special attack on them, which is either a bomb in this case, or a torpedo. So you're looking at the red circle on the left there, or an Oka, which is essentially a rocket. It's a missile with a a human being inside it, because apparently they weren't content to just send planes with people in them to smash into ships, but they actually put rockets slung under the planes that are fired from the planes coming in that have people in them guiding them to the target, because they were quicker, obviously, they'd be harder to hit. Kamikaze planes are horrible enough, but you just basically just strap someone into a rocket and tell them to go kill themselves by smashing into a ship. That's just another level of horribleness, really. So there's 10 of those that could happen normally, and there are also some mixed up in here, but there's a whole bunch of other planes as well. Big and small. You got like big bombers, like the Betty, the G4M2. You've got little fighters like the Zero, the A6M5, and you got a whole bunch of other big and small things as well. So that's basically everything there. Over here we have the firing charts, which again are not included in the mod as it is released. I've just added them here for the stream, just to make things a little bit more easy to follow, because otherwise I'll just be looking up lots of charts and things in books and you won't be able to see any of that. So but yeah, these are not in the officially released mod. They are available online from the Legion Wargames website, though, if you wanted to have a look at them. So this is the firing charts. This tells us basically where the guns can fire. Like, for example, the 20mm A gun can only fire at low and medium targets at 225 or 270 degrees. And if you have a look at A, you'll see why, because it's on this side, which is the starboard side. I don't know. I don't actually know which side is which, but it's on this side, the top side, and obviously, you know, it could reach over here. It could reach over here. It's not likely to reach over there though, because there's more things in the way there. So that explains that. Whereas the like the 5-inch 3 gun, for example, if we look up here, can fire at basically everything, everything to the rear of the ship, you know, from 90 to 270. So it's basically all of this it can fire at. Where was it? Number 3 gun, 90, 135, 180. Yeah, so that's the rear part of the ship. So it can get any target there, but it can't get any of the targets in the front. So that's going to be important, because the planes are going to be coming in from any which way they can. And then this is just the book of charts, of which there are many charts to roll. So these 22 tables there, 24 tables in total. And these are the scenarios, and the one we are going to play is this, the Evans Ordeal, from May 11th, 1945, the USS Evans. So if you've watched my channel, you may recall that I played a wing leader scenario called Hadley and Evans, and that is basically where we're going. Like, the Evans in that is this Evans, and Hadley and Evans were pummeled pretty hard by a massive wave of kamikaze planes called the Kikusui, and it's basically just a massive attack. They had about 10 of these apparently in the Okinawa campaign, and as the background here says, this was number 6. And assigned at Station 15 were the Fletcher class USS Evans and the Sumner class USS Hugh W. Hadley and support vessels. Radar from the Hadley indicates as many as 156 planes heading their way. Turned out to be the largest picket station battle of the Okinawa campaign. So yeah, the Hadley isn't in this because this is specifically about the Fletcher class destroyers. So it may be possible to modify things. So, put the right guns and so on, and you could have a Sumner class one here instead. But the default here is the Fletcher class, and the Evans was one of those. And the Evans, if I recall rightly, the Hadley got away with less damage. It was still pretty badly damaged, but the Evans was pretty much on its last legs. But it did survive. It says that the USS Evans ordeal began around 08:30 on the 11th. A Jake was spotted and the battle was on. For the Evans and the Hadley, it would be a nightmare of a day. The Evans would survive, eventually being towed back for repairs. And they have these little damage reports at the bottom here, which are quite interesting. So this is from the actual thing. And you can see that 4 planes hit it. They had one crashing into the port bow at waterline, which caused minor flooding. A second plane carrying a bomb crashed close aboard on port quarter. Bomb detonated on contact with underwater hull in way of after engine room. I don't know, that's obviously a missing word there. After 2 machinery spaces flooded immediately. Third plane released the bomb just before crashing upon the galley, and the bomb detonated in the forward fire room. 2 forward machinery spaces flooded through fragment and rivet holes. Stability seriously reduced. 3 degrees starboard list. Severe gasoline fires amidships, dead in water. And the 4th plane knocked after starboard boat davit overboard and then towed to base. So it did survive, but I don't think it came back to the war after that. But this is the one we're going to be doing because there's going to be a lot of planes coming in. Minimum of, I think it's a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 18 per phase. So this could be a complete nightmare. But I figure this will be more interesting because we'll play the whole day, and we've got hopefully a massive amount of planes coming in, and then we can hopefully get to the stage of making more interesting decisions, because like I said, there's not an awful lot of decisions to be made here, but it's mainly about what guns you're going to fire at what planes, and after that it's what are you going to repair, what can you afford to repair, what are you going to leave for later, and so on. So we'll see how that goes. Let's get started then. We have our crew. You may recognise the names. I basically borrowed from Battlestar Galactica, which also had its fair share of kamikaze attacks. At least in the original series, they had Cylon ships smashing into the launch bays, trying to prevent the Vipers from going out, and just smashing into the ship in general. Yeah, I thought it'd be kind of fun to just take some Galactica names. So most of these should be familiar. There's a mix of old and new series. Adama is the captain, but he's the guy in charge. Exo is obviously Ty. Garner was in the new series. He was the Exo on the Pegasus when they found that. But he's only an engineering officer because he did some stuff in the engine room at one point. One thing I noticed when I was looking up all these names was that Galactica never had any kind of engineering crew, or named anyway. There wasn't like a ship's engineer or something like Scotty in Star Trek. So that was kind of interesting. Gator as gunnery officer, Jolly as damage control officer. Jolly was one of the Viper pilots in the original series, but again, they didn't have a damage control officer really. Tyrol, chief, who actually was chief petty officer in the new series. And then the repair chiefs I've just named after the women. So we got Cara Thrace, Sharon Valeri, and Tori Foster. Obviously, they're just last names, so since everyone on this ship in particular would be male, it works as last names for them as well. So it's entirely flavour really. It doesn't really matter what the names are. but it helps when you get attached to them, I suppose, and then they get horribly killed when planes smash into the ship. So adds to the narrative. So first thing we do is see how good or bad these are. So we've got some counters in here. If I have a quick look. So most of these are 0. There are 6 -1s, 6 +1s, and there's 2 +2s and 2 -2s. And that is going to tell us how good these folks are. So I'm going to shuffle that up. We're going to draw them out, and we're going to see. So Dharma is a +1, that's good. Engineer is +1, that's good. Damage control is -1, that's not as good. Repair Chief 1 is +1. Okay, that's not a bad mix. I tried this and got some -2s on some critical things, and that was like, no, that's not good. So I'm gonna just copy them, put them back in, so we don't have to take notes of them or anything. And we shuffle all that. So yeah, so we've got a good captain, good engineering officer, not so good damage control officer, and a good repair chief 1. So that should hopefully balance out in our favour. Put all the crew in their places, and I think the only thing I wanted to move here was the chief into the SG radar. Captain and XO are on the bridge, gunnery and DCO are in the CIC, and the engineer is in one of the engine rooms, either forward or aft, and I think I'll put him in the aft one. The kamikaze pool is prepared. All the ships and all the planes are in here. The special ones have been split off. We got all the counters ready. Morale is at 0. Land radar is to be determined. Ship radar level is, I think that should actually be at +1, because all our radar is intact at the moment. That's basically it. So what we're going to do is first we determine our duty station, and that is in the scenario as Picket Station 15. We head up here and we put our marker on 15, and some of these have modifiers on them. Some 0, -1, well, all of them have 0, -1 or -2. That's going to affect the attacks. This one is a -1, and then we're basically off to the races. So first thing we do is we go over here and we consult the tables, and as is normal for this kind of game, where you just basically have a whole book of tables, and that's going to determine what's going to happen. So 3.1 is, here we are, fighter detection team assignment. So we're going to see if we have a fighter detection team. And once again, I've got my dice rollers here. I've modified one of them here to have D10. But obviously the game itself comes with dice, but I just don't like using dice in Tabletop Simulator because they just take too long to roll. So first, let's see if we have a fighter detection team. We have 4 + 4 is 8. We have a team assigned. So that means we can go up here. And this is, technically it should be in the middle here, but it's a definite yes, we have air fire support. So, next thing is, do we have surface fire support? There is another table for this, which is down here. And it is, again, high number is good. So let's see what happens with that. Oh, we got an 11, that's very nice. So 2 surface fire markers are available. Also good. And we'll move them over here. Again, it should be snaps on there, but it doesn't really matter. And then ship radar. Yeah, we did that correctly. So it is a +1. Both our ship radars are intact. The SG is the surface search and the SC is air search radars. Land radar. So this is dependent on when the scenario is. So this is the 11th of May, and there are 4 possible land radar stations that come online over the course of the year. There's one at Hado, which comes on the 21st of April. Ieshima, which is 23rd of April. Zamani, which is 10th of May, and Nagani, which is 8th of June. So obviously the one at the 8th of June isn't there yet because we're on May the 11th. So we have to determine whether the 3 that are around are actually active on this date. So we just again roll on a table and you just roll for each one and see what happens. So for Hado, we get a 12, so it's definitely activated. Ieshima is a 7, definitely activated. And Zamani is a 5, which also is activated. So they're going to be online for the whole turn, the whole day. So we have 3 stations active. We move that up to here, and that gives us a value of 2, which we'll see what that all means later on. But that's good. We've got more support on that front. So we start the actual phase. So we start in the morning phase on May the 11th, when we have no idea what's going to be hitting us today, and we literally don't, because we're going to randomly roll that. But it's going to be bad. So at the beginning, the first phase is always clear weather. So we don't bother rolling. It's just going to be clear. There's going to be no problem with that, at least. It can get to the point of getting into a storm, and that could actually destroy the ship, which is interesting, but or severely damage it anyway. But for now, it's nice and clear in the Pacific. Next thing is roll on another table, and we are going to see what the fighter coverage is like here. So we're going to look at the tables at the bottom here and roll on there. We are on the April 16th and June 25th day. So let's see what we've got. 7. We have carrier and land based, so that's good. So we got to draw a chit for that. So this is carrier and this is land. Oh, they're both -1. That's not good. That's not good. So we go over here, but then I remember that we don't do that. So this is what we do in a normal game. However, I've just remembered this is not a normal game. This is a Kikusui. So we're under one of these heavy kamikaze attacks. So we actually don't roll on the normal table. We roll on this table. So we roll a d6 twice. Now we did roll 2 d6s here. So instead, all right, well, instead of taking that 7, that as a 7, we'll take it as a 6 and a 1. So what we have is a 6, which is 4 land and 4 carrier, and a 1, which is 1 land and 1 carrier. So we got 5 there. However, we get a bonus for the FDT. So the fighter detection table, we had that up here, the air fire support here. That gives us a +1. So let me just lock that in place there. We actually have a +1 on the rolls. So we still have 4 land and 4 carrier. The 1 goes to a 2. We still have 1 land and 1 carrier there. So we still got a total of 5 of each. So let's just get that going here. That's the carrier based. That's the land based. I guess. Let's just make a copy of you. Make a copy of you. We should have 5 of each now. Yep. Okay, so they're going to help us out. Then the attack begins. So here's table 22 and 22-1. So we are going to be seeing how many planes are going to be attacking in this wave, or in this phase, and they may come in multiple, or they probably will come in multiple waves during the phase. Let's have a go here. 6. We've got 9 planes attacking. And if we scooch back over here, see that when we have 9 planes attacking, we're going to have 2 waves, one of 5, one of 4. And they can have up to 2 special aircraft normally. But again, if a plane is picked with a special attack symbol, because this is a Kikusui, we actually ignore it here, so we don't get that happening. Which I guess is a little bit strange, because the in the description of the Evans battle report that we just read, they were getting hit by planes that had bombs and things on them. So it's a bit of a weird rules thing there, I guess. But it does say if it's picked with a special attack symbol, it is ignored and placed back into the container. So ordinarily, what we do is we just determine all of the planes and put the second wave in here, and we know what the second wave is. I kind of don't like that, because why do we know what the second wave is? So we're gonna do it one wave at a time here, because they're gonna come in one wave at a time anyway. So the first wave is going to be 5 planes. So let's go back to the table here, and we can see where they're going to come from. So we're going to get 5 planes. Okay. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's our 5 planes. So that's in the first wave. So we are going to now determine where they're going to come from. So what angle and what height. So first we roll 2d6, and then we roll a 1d6. So that's a 4, which is 90, and a 5. So 90 high is our first plane. Let me do that again. 4 and a 1. So we got 90 low. So that's interesting. We got a 7 and a 1. We got 180 and low. Coming from back there. 5 and a 3. That's 135 and medium. And lastly, a 6 and a 6. That's a 180 high. And there we go. So we get back to figuring out defensive fire here. So now we have to allocate our guns to the targets, and we can also allocate some of the air fire support here as well, and some surface fire support to help us out. We have a look at our table here, and let's get this picture-in-picture on this one. Then we can see where things are. We've got our little thing here, so we can refer to that. So obviously guns that are at the front are not going to be able to fire. So let's have a look at what can. There's lots of things that can fire at the back here. So 180, so we look at the 180 column, for example. So E, F and G can obviously fire, but again, low and medium only, so they can't actually hit this one. They can only hit this. So that might be best to put these two there and do something else with this one. 180, so the 3 5-inch guns can all fire at the high one, but I think I only want to have one there for now. The 135, all three of these can hit, so maybe I'll put both of them on there, and we can get 3 on here. 40mm E can fire at that one as well, and I think the F can fire at that one as well, because that's on a medium. So yeah, so we can put those 3 on there, and we'll do these. And then over here we've got enough guns, I think, that we can bring to bear. At the 90 we have all the 5-inch guns can fire, so there's no reason not to put these in here, 1 on each. The 40mm, was that B and C should be able to fire. Yeah, B and C can fire, A and D can't because they're on the other side. So again, we can split that up like that. And then we've got the B and C 20mm guns here can fire, but A and D won't be able to, obviously. Now again, they are only able to fire low and medium, so really they can fire at him. So is it worth putting that there, or should I put that over here? Maybe I'll put that over there. Okay, and there we go. That is our guns allocated, and I think what I'm going to do with these is link them together, so they're going to be, they're not sort of completely tied to each other, so they're not, you know, they're not treated as like one gun firing in unison, but they have their own Mark 37 fire directors, which if you use them on the same target, you can basically get a bonus to hit. It just makes it easier to hit them with both guns. And then the rest, I think, are going to be good. Let's get rid of that. We can allocate some air fire support and surface fire support as well. So let's have some air fire support there. Let's have some land-based stuff here. I think these guys will be okay. I don't like that. Let's just do that, and see how this goes. We don't want to use everything up straight away, so we've got three phases to get through, and there's 2 waves, and this is only the first wave of the first one, so let's see what happens. So first we have to roll our dice and see what happens. Looks like the air combat is resolved after the guns. So we look over here. So we got firing bonus table here. The 5-inch guns get a +1 at medium and high, but they only get that if they're slaved. If they're not slaved to the fire director, then they don't get that. And then the 40mm do get +1 at low and medium, but they always get that unless their directors are destroyed. And the 20mm don't get any bonus. So let's see what the big guns will do. So let's fire our 5 and 4 5-inch guns. These are under the fire director or under the gun director. So we'll see if that hits. So they do get a +1. This is the table width. rolling on, and this is a plane that is altitude high, and that means we roll on this table. We do have the +1. We don't have an ace crew, so the gunnery officer is 0, so that's good. And what we want to do is we want to hit the plane at least 3 times, but ideally we want to destroy it, because then it's just gone and we don't have to worry about it. But if we hit it 3 times, it's considered flamed, which is another word for just shot down. But it's still there. It's still, you know, basically a missile with momentum. So it could still hit the ship, but it's not. It would basically be, you know, not under any control at that point. So we roll 2d6, and we've got 2 guns on there. So for the first gun, we roll a 4, which is a miss. The second gun, we roll a 10, which is flamed straight away. We actually rolled an 11. So because we got the +1, didn't we? So the 4 was still a miss because it's a 5 is a miss, but a 10 is +1 to 11. So boom, plane is destroyed. So that's good. He goes back in the pool. The AFS marker is not used. So if a plane is shot down before an AFS marker is used, the marker may be reassigned to another target if available. So we could send you off over here. So this one is 2 20mm guns. So that is not very good. It's only a 0 here, and we're looking at no modifiers, and again, higher the better. So we've got 2 hits, got a 4, which is a miss, got a 10 again, and this is coming in low, isn't it? So that's a low. We roll a 10, we don't get +1, it's flamed. So that one is shot down. The Jill is shot down. And again, these two are like, well, now what? So they'll fly off over here. Let's give them all an extra hand. So again, now we've got 5-inch, 40mm, and 20mm. The 5-inch is not slave to the controller though, so that's not going to get any modifiers. So let's roll again here on this table, and we are looking at the Irving, which is a low. Doesn't actually get the bonus for low. That's a bit annoying. Not as good an idea to use it on that then, but I mean it kind of needs the extra help really. So there's no modifier there. It's just a straight roll, and that is it. So it's gonna be a low. Again, the high number would be good. A 7 is 1 hit. So now we put that out, and we have 1 hit, so 3 will shoot it down. Now we roll on the 40mm chart here, because we've got a 40mm gun on there. So again, we're at low, so we do get a +1, and no other things happening. So a low, we roll a 5, we get +1 though, that is another hit. That's 2 hits, so we've got a damaged plane, but we have to score another hit to make it flame. So 20mm, low is no modifier. What do we get? A 10. We got flamed, so it is definitely shot down. So that's what flamed means basically. And I guess we don't have to actually put those back because that's infinite. So he could wander off and go elsewhere, because I think once it's shot down, it's that's it. Basically, can't be attacked anymore. So again, we could send him over here, and see what happens. So 5-inch gun here on the Irving. That is going to be another. That's another low one, isn't it? Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing there, wasn't I? Because that's medium, isn't it? Alright, well, he's shot down anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, sorry, I was looking at the wrong plane. Alright, this one is a low one. This is the one where the 5-inch guns don't actually get a bonus. So this is low. Again, no further modifier. So 5-inch is a 5, which is a miss. 20 millimeters are going to have no modifier, so that is a 9. That's 2 hits, and a 6, which is a miss. So this one's got 2 hits, so that means the planes can actually do something here. So the way the planes work is they roll 1d6, and on a 6 they hit. And if they hit, they destroy the plane. Otherwise, that's it. And they get a +1 because this is a 2-engine plane. So plane number 1 gets a 2, which is a 3. And then plane number 2, gets a 2, which is a 3 as well. So despite that, this one gets through. And these are gone. We'll just put these down here for now while I figure out what to do with them. But yeah, this one's got through. Babs here. So one thing, like they've got all these are the names that the Americans called them, which I'm not a huge fan of generally, but I prefer to call them by their actual classifications or something. But just to make it more convenient, I'm going to stick with their US names. So we have a Babs, and that one has a it's coming in high with a 5-inch. So again, no controller on that one. So that's being fired manually. So we look on the high table. We get a 10. Which straight away is flamed, so that will do nicely. So that's shot down, but again, once it's shot down, that's basically it. So this one wanders off as well. So out of those, we destroyed 1 plane, but we've shot down 3, and one of them's got through, but he's damaged. So this is going to be a little hairy. So the next part is, now are we going to do emergency maneuvers, which are basically evasive maneuvers, and that is used for the whole phase, so the whole morning thing. So this is going to happen, it's going to take effect for this wave and the next wave, which we haven't determined yet. So we look at column 19. Emergency maneuver. So captain and the engineering officer values are actually combined at +2, so that's quite good. We are on this column because it's a +2, and we roll 2d6 and we roll a 5, which is successful. So that means that there's a -1 modifier to the dice roll when determining if planes hit your ship. Good. Okay, right. That is excellent. Also, though, we reduce the fuel level by 1, as we are expending fuel to change our course here. So now we have to determine whether these planes are actually going to hit us, or the flaming wreckage that was the planes is actually going to hit us. So now, because we've done the evasive maneuvers, we're going to get a -1 on the roll. So we look at table 10. We have no undamaged planes. There are shot down planes and there are damaged planes. So let's go from the rear. So the shot down flaming wreckage of the Jill is going to come crashing down. And is it just going to miss us, or is it going to hit us? So we have got emergency maneuvers. We subtract 1, so 2d6. 7. That is a near miss, but we're doing evasive maneuvers, so it's -1, so it's a 6, which is a miss. No damage, so he goes splashing into the water. Hooray! There, that one didn't hurt us. The second one, which is the formerly known as Pete, is going to roll the same thing. It's a 4, -1 is a 3, that's no damage, so he splooshes down into the water as well. So far so good. The third shot down one is a 9, that's less good. -1 though is a near miss. So for this we have to roll on table 11-1. So now we roll 2d6. And we roll, it's a cross-reference the rolls kind of table. So the first number is going to be this, the row. So we got 5 and a 6. So it's row 5 and then 6. That is a deck fire. So that is an aft deck fire. We have that there. So we got to deal with that. Then plane that was hit, so the damaged plane that has a slightly different table to use that is more likely to hit. Let's have a look. That though is a 5 modified to a 4. That actually missed completely, so he just overshoots us completely and splooshes down the water. Good. So the most we got from that is a deck fire, which is good. Right, so now we have to worry about repairing all this stuff. Deck fires, however, are handled a little differently. They're not handled by the actual repair crews themselves. They're just basically people running around on deck with fire hoses trying to get that under control. You just basically roll a d6, and if it's 4 or less, then the markers are removed. But the thing is, if they're not removed, then another one's added, and then we have another go, and hopefully we get a 4 or less. And if that succeeds, then all of the markers are gone. Otherwise, they keep growing. So we don't want to get lots of 5s or 6s in a row because we'll be screwed. So first attempt is a 2, so that puts that fire out, so that's good. We got that one under control. So far we've survived with not an awful lot of damage, but we have wave number 2 coming in, so let's deal with that. Let's get our guns back where they need to be. And we do that all over again. And then I think these counters are now used up. Yeah, they can only be used once per phase, so these counters are used up. So that's not looking too bad. The next lot of planes though, the next 4 planes are going to come in. So this is wave 2, and they're going to come in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got a Nick, a Grace, a Shiragiku, and a Tony. So one big one. Right, so again, let's see where these go. So first one is a 3 and a 1. It's a 45 low. Second one, say 7 and a 2. That is a 180 low. Again, attacking from the rear. Oh, actually, that was a special attack. And we apparently do not use those in a Kikusui, supposedly. Which is, again, a little strange given that they were actually used according to the description. But yeah, you pick another plane to replace it. So technically, this is the second plane, this is the third plane, and this should be back in here, reshuffled, and the fourth plane it comes out. So right, so this is the second plane. And that was, I think we already rolled that, didn't we? 7 out of 2. So 180 low. And then the next one is a 6 and a 5. That's a 180 high. Again. And a 5 and a 3. It's a 135 medium. So we got someone coming in from the front here, and again more planes coming in from the rear. So once again, we got to figure out our firing chart thing. So let's do that. Oh, that's already saved. That's good. Okay, right. So, what have we got? Again, at the rear here, all of these guys can fire at the low one. So we might do this again. Just split this off over here, because you can still fire at the 135. That's F. Use a medium. So that's, yeah, that's similar to what it was before. And then what are we going to do with the 5 inches? Let's try that again. Seem to work. We'll slave those together. We'll put you on. So that's going to have trouble. Well, it can fire at this one, but I think I'd like that over here. And then we've got B, C, and C here. So you can definitely fire over there. And then these two, we'll throw them into the mix. I guess we'll throw them into the mix because they can't really do anything else, can they? So let's do that. A lot of guns firing at the Pete. Less back here, and again that's high, so we want them on the high, we don't want them on the low really because they're less advantageous there. And then this guy I guess can get the full whack of this lot, which should be quite good. So that is a, what is that? That's a 45, right? 1 and 2 can definitely fire on him. Again though, they're low. 40mm. B and C can fire at him. Where's C? C was over here. I wonder if it's better to put him over there then. Well, they're both going to be firing at him anyhow. So let's put 1 and 2 on there and B. And let's just double check this fire director thing. I think if it's being used already, you can't fire it again. So I'm gonna use it on this one, and I'm not gonna use the slaved thing on this one. So it's just gonna be 2 separately firing guns, and the 40mm thing. So I think that's what our fire distribution is going to be like. And I think we're going to have some more planes coming in to help out here. Probably want one here as well. I think this one's okay. I mean, I guess there's no reason not to use them all, really, isn't there? Because they're gonna get reused at the end of or regenerated at the end of the phase anyway. So these are the more precious ones, I guess. But we should be able to hold this lot off. So I think that's what we're gonna go with. So let's get back to the tables and figure out what we're doing. So back here we've got the Tony coming in from high. It's got 5-inch guns and air support. So let's get back to that. 5-inch guns. So it's high +1 and that is it. So 2 of them. So 6 +1 is a 7. That's 1 hit. And a 7 +1 is an 8. That's 2 hits, so it's shot down. It's got 3 hits on it. That is shot down. This guy can go over here. Now this is at a low. We're looking at the 20mm table, which is this one. Low, no modifier, but it does have a couple of extra planes on it. But it's 2 guns. So again, high numbers please. A 9, that is 2 hits. And a 5, annoying, which is a miss. So he's only got 2 hits on him. So our air crew here have got a chance to do something about that. So we want to see if we get a 6 basically. So 1 is not. 2 is not. So these guys miss. And they do not catch him. So our Shiragiku has made it through. But he is damaged. The Pete, the F1M2 reconnaissance plane there, he's got a whole bunch of stuff on him. So the 5-inch is, what is that? It's medium. It's not slaved though, so it's just going to be without the fire director. So it's a medium, no +1 because it's being fired manually, and that is it. But that's good enough. That's a 10 on the medium. That is flamed, so he is shot down. Got a direct hit with that one. All these other guns are just basically firing into the flaming ball of wreckage, but they don't destroy it or anything. So here we have 2 5-inch guns on the neck. So let's do that. That is on the low again, so that's a 0 modifier. Number 1 is a 4. That's a miss. Number 2 is a 9. That's a single hit. And the 40mm is +1 on the low. So he will get a 6 +1 is not enough. That is a hit. So damaged again, but the air support might save us. Yes, it does. It's a 6. So we roll a 6. That destroys the plane. So nice job, fighter pilots. You made it through for us there. So that's good. So the only things we have to worry about now are 2 shot down planes and one that's still coming in intact but damaged. So we still have the defensive maneuvers or the evasive maneuvers going on in this phase. So we've got a -1 on this table from before. So the shot down Tony here, we are going to see what happens to him, and he rolls a 10. That's annoying. Alright, he does hit. The flaming ball of wreckage does come down. It's modified to a 9, but it's still a hit. So we are looking at the aft, and now we're going to roll where it's landed. Don't think there's any modifiers on that. So we'll roll d6 and a d10. 2 and a 2. Nice and simple. 5-inch magazine number 3 hit. Uh-oh, that's not good. Roll, oh, that's definitely not great. Roll 1d6, roll of 1 causes an explosion, ship sunk, otherwise compartment damaged. Uh-oh. Oh, it's a 2. Phew. I thought that was going to end our game prematurely there. But it is damaged. So we got a hit on, was it aft number 3, wasn't it? Yep. It is under the waterline. So the compartment is hit. Roll 1d6. And if it is a 1 to 5, no flooding occurs. Place hit markers and fire marker. So we do not place a flooded marker, but it is on fire. So that's there. And we get a deck fire marker on the after table. Oh, actually I rolled twice. It's a single engine plane. So yeah, sorry, I actually roll again on the hit table here. So on the damage table even. So we have, was it the aft section again? So once again we got to do another hit because it basically does 2 damages, 2 damage things. So d6 is 4, d10 is 1. Rudder destroyed. Ooh, that's not good. There. Wow, okay. Ship becomes dead in water. Place maneuver at 0. Okay. Well, that's great. Probably means you can't do any evasive maneuvering anymore. We're dead in the water. That's not good. So that was the Tony doing a spectacular amount of damage to us there. Let's do the other shot down one, the Pete, and see how bad that's going to be. So he's shot down. Now, since we've lost the rudder, technically we're not evasive maneuvering anymore. So we're not subtracting 1. Alright, so this is going to be an 11. Oh, that's definitely going to be a hit. That's another 2 rolls on here. That's a 1 and a 6. Equipment room hit. Okay, that's a secondary thing. So we go over here. There is an equipment room. That is hit. That's all that means. But that could have some morale issues later on. And then the second roll is a 6 and a 3. Again, the Pete is a single, yeah. So 6 and a 3. Oh, cripes. We've got the other magazine has now just been hit. That's brilliant. And we are going to roll a d6 and hope we don't get a 1. Phew, we got a 3. So, again, roll for flooding. It's a 6. Oh, it's a flooded one. Okay, so we've got a hit. And it's a flooded damage. And that was magazine number 4. So that is flooded. The apartment floods and is considered destroyed. Oh. Well, okay. This is going to screw us. The magazine number 4 is gone. And, I guess you know, put that back. Destroyed. What does this mean? Move the flooding marker 1 space towards 0 as well as on the maneuver track. Well, I mean the maneuver track's screwed anyway. Do we get any listing or trimming or anything going on? So the Pete was the one that smashed into us, wasn't it? So that's come from 135. That's starboard. That is a list of 1 on the starboard side. So we tilted a bit there. Oh, he had a deck fire as well. This guy is shot down, and that is an 8, but we are not having any modifiers on that anymore. That is a near miss, and we are going to roll 2d6 on that one. First one is the row again. 6 and 6. Plane clips mast. Oh Christ. Ugh, both radars destroyed. Oh my god, and the chief's dead as well. Poor old chief. I played a trial run of this before, and the chief ended up being killed by being in the wrong room at the wrong time. Oh, damn it. They're gone. Radar's out. That's not good. But he goes away. And then we just got to deal with Shiragiku, which is coming in full pelt and under control. So that's no good. And that is damaged though. So we're going to roll... Oh, for crying out loud. A 12. Oh, that's not good. We're going to roll on the aft section again. And that's d10, d6 is 8. And 5. Just a deck fire. But that's the 3rd deck fire back there. So this is not good. If we don't put this out, then we're screwed. Okay, so let's deal with the damage. Well, we've got a flooded, at least, magazine. We've got fire going on in magazine number 3, and we've got 3 deck fires going on here, which is definitely not good, and we're starting to list a bit. And our rudder is knocked out as well, so that's also great. So, yeah, let's try and fix things. But at least that wave is over. We don't have any more things coming in for now, and we may actually have a chance to get away as well before the next run starts. Yeah, we can't do anything about that magazine, but we can do something about this one. Also, yeah, the chief is rip. Chief is rip. Just, you know, looking at the radar and, you know, got crushed by the collapsing mast or something. That's just typical. So the only place we actually have to repair, because this is just a lost cause now, is this one. We can put 3 repair crew in there. We've got a damaged equipment room as well, so let's put that. Let's get somebody in there. Number 3 is the aft, so we're going to send this lot over to the aft section. So officers go down to damage control as well if they matter. Now annoyingly the DCO has to be down there as well, and he is at -1. So our DCO is a bit of a penalty here. So he just basically goes into one of the sections. I think I just put him in the room, essentially. The XO goes into one compartment, but he's a 0 anyway, so it doesn't really matter about him. Engineer is not affected by this one because it's a magazine. And the repair chief also goes down here, but again, he doesn't have a rating. So it's a -1 for the DCO. Each hit marker is a value of 2. Each repair crew counter has a value of 1. So the initial value for repairs, the room has a value of 1. Each repair crew counter has a value of 1, so that's 4. The officers and repair chiefs have a value of -1 in total, so that's a 3. And then subtract from this the value of the hit markers, which is going to be 2 because there's 1 hit marker. So the total is 1. And then we look at table 20, which is here. So we're looking at +1. So 6 or more, I think, is going to do it. Morale is positive at the moment. So that is a +1. And if we succeed, we're just going to remove the hit marker and we're good. So we basically need to roll a 5 or more. And of course, we roll a 4. So that is not repaired. Damn. Alright. That's awesome. It may be a moot point though. However, deck fire has to be dealt with. So hopefully we'll roll 1 to 4. And we do. And that is all the fire markers are removed from that track. So we have successfully put this fire out. And so that is all good. And then, secondary compartment, we're going to roll for the one guy that's gone off to fix that. 1 to 4, it's successful. So the equipment room is salvaged basically. So that's good. And then he toodles off back there. Right, that's the end of the first phase. So it says check hull integrity at the end of each phase. So number of planes that hit the ship. Now you tell me I need to keep track of that. I think it was 4 that hit the ship. Those 2 shot down ones and 2 actual hits from damaged planes. And then we look at table 14.1. And we had 3+ plane hits. And then we roll 2d6 and we roll a 5. So we've got 2 hull integrity points lost from that. Then, if the maneuver track is at 0 at the end of the phase, your ship must leave station and return to anchorage for repairs. Roll on table 16 to see if your ship sinks en route. So, table 16, where are you? Ship sinks or ship stays afloat. Roll 2d6. 4. Hey, ship sinks. Great. Well, I guess that wraps up this playthrough then, because that's that. Basically, what happened is we got hit by, or attacked by 9 planes. 4, I think, hit us in the end. But knocked out the radars and killed the Chief Petty Officer Tyrol and caused some flooding, started a raging fire in the number 3 5-inch magazine, and also blew up our rudder. And as we were somehow trying to get back, even with a blown up rudder apparently, we sunk en route, and that was that. So there you go. Such are the vagaries of the dice gods. It was a bit shorter than I thought that would be, but yeah, that's what happens when you're rolling on lots of tables. So at the end of the day, what do I think of that? Well, it's an interesting theme for sure. It was kind of, I was intrigued to see what it would be like from the ship's point of view as opposed to from the plane's point of view, which is what I was doing in Wing Leader in the Hadley and Evans scenario there. But my problem with this kind of game is it's not a reflection of the game itself necessarily, but these games where it's just this narrative thing of rolling dice on a table, not a big fan of that. D-Day at Peleliu, which I played earlier and posted up the videos, totally different kind of thing to this, because it's just a one-player game, but you are making decisions at every step. It makes you feel like you're involved in it rather than just this sort of helpless observer. This one does have some decisions, but it's not a lot. The bulk of the game is just rolling on tables and seeing what happens. The decisions to be made in this one are what guns to fire and where you're going to send your repair crews, essentially. And we had a bit, the which guns to fire part is definitely there throughout, especially if you have a lot of planes coming in a wave. The repair crew stuff we didn't really see too much of because we only had a couple of compartments hit that they could do anything about, so we didn't have lots of crews going around trying to fix things. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is, to me, it's a very passive kind of experience, really. Like, I know you are actually rolling the dice, but without making decisions there, you're not really as involved in it. I know, like, these games are popular. There's things like Queen of the Skies, The Hunters, The Hunted, Silent Victory, all these other types of things. But I can't really see myself doing this much on my own, or just wanting to sit down and just sit at a table or sit at a virtual table and just roll dice a lot. It's not quite as bad as just Snakes and Ladders or something, but it's kind of getting there, I think, to me. And sure, it makes a story. It's kind of fun when you're doing it, but it's whether I want to do this more. I honestly don't think I do. It's fun to try, but it's not something I'm going to just get out and do on a rainy day. I'd rather play something like, D-Day at Peleliu or Space Corp or Warfighter or Pavlov's House or something, where we actually do have more interesting things going on, more decisions to make. And as another example, I have actually got, or I did actually get another game by Lock and Load Publishing called A Wing and a Prayer Bombing the Reich. And that is sending squadrons of planes over occupied Europe and bombing targets and seeing if they survive. And that was more extreme than this. Like, again, it's a narrative type solo game, but literally the only decision you had to make was what crew to put in the planes, which didn't really make a vast amount of difference, and what routes your planes were going to go along. And that was pretty much not a decision, because you just go for the ones that have the least flak and defense and stuff like that. The shortest route with the least flak. That's basically it. Beyond that, no decisions to make whatsoever in the game. And I played it, did 5 missions in it, like the minimum campaign in it, and just went, yeah, well, that's that then. Not really gonna play that again. So yeah, it's not bad. It was fun. Like I said, it's fun to do while you're doing it, but it's just, would I want to sit down and do that? I don't think I would. So that's that. Hopefully I got things right. I may have forgotten a few things. I have a horrible feeling I've forgotten to roll the second damage roll for something there, but it didn't really matter in the end. The ship sank and was lost. And hopefully survivors got off it, but it was not a good morning for the Evans in this scenario. So that's that. Hope that was informative anyway, and let you know how the game played. If you like this sort of narrative thing, it's a fun one. There's I'm not a great judge of it, since I'm not a huge fan of the style of play, but I can't see that it's got anything bad in it or anything as a game. It certainly generates a narrative, and there's several scenario options as well that you can do, shorter ones, longer ones. You can do a mini campaign. You can do the whole like 25 days of stuff. But if you're looking for a solo game that where you do make some decisions, do have more control over it, then this is not going to be the game for you. I think you're better off getting D-Day at Peleliu or Space Corp or any other game that has higher, a bigger decision space. This is basically just a fairly straightforward narrative type game, and it's not that different from all the other narrative type games that are out there, really, apart from the subject matter. So if you like those, you'll probably like this. If you don't like those style of games, you probably won't really like this much. But that's my view of it anyway. Again, not a criticism of the game itself, it's just I don't like the style of game, that narrative type thing. So that's that. Thank you for watching then. I will see you next time. Ta-ta!